What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another true story animation review. You guys said you wanted to see more of these videos, so that's exactly what we are going to do. Now today, we're going to be checking out a different channel that makes animated true stories, and this channel is called My Story Animated. Real stories animated. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. And you know, it's kind of the same thing as Share My Story. They just kind of pick the most crazy stories that could ever happen and they animate them. People are allergic to my face. I found my death certificate under my bed. My mom made me believe I'm allergic to the sun for 20 years. Hey, that's funny because that was literally kind of like our last video. But today's video is going to be a little different. Today's video is none other than the famous My Stepmom's Chest Ripped My Family Apart. Okay, I don't want to show that for too long because I don't want to get demonetized. Now, you would think that this story is going to be about, well, stepmoms, you know, huge honkers. But soon and in time, you'll see that this story literally diverges from that little plot point faster than you guys pointing out the Attack on Titan jacket in the background.
My name is Anna, and my stepmom threw me out of the house, so that's why I'm now a homeless person that eats food scraps out of dumpsters. But during that time, eating scraps was the least of my worries.
Okay. Off to a good start. We didn't even see the stepmom. We have no idea why she kicked her out of the house. All we know is that this girl is on her own and she's eating scraps out of garbage. Off the bat, there's a couple things like a little bit weird here. Normally when someone gets kicked out of their home, like they go to the police or they, you know, like set up, like go to a foster home or something. Like who actually, like a teenager or a child, who actually ends up living on the streets, you know, in the big city and actually like makes that their life? I don't know, just a little bit weird.
That time, eating scraps was the least of my worries. My parents got divorced after my mom discovered that my dad cheated on her with a waitress. My mom gave up custody of me. It was her way of teaching my dad about responsibility.
Okay, wait a minute. Did she just say that her dad cheated on her mom with a waitress? Why did they show a maid? They literally showed a housemaid. Like, what kind of waitress looks like that? Where's she working at? Or maybe they're implying that the dad lied about what the waitress does. Well, I guess we'll never know. And then the girl goes on to explain that the mom ended up leaving the dad to teach him about responsibility, and then shortly after, the dad actually ends up marrying that waitress. And she basically turns out to be the worst stepmom in history, making the daughter do all these chores. She hates her guts. It's basically like Cinderella 2.0. And the only time they say anything about the enormous melons is that one little comment where she says,
"That waitress." It was clear that he only did it because of her enormous breasts.
Now, at least in Cinderella, you know, she was just cleaning all day, right? I mean, she wasn't made to, like, literally eat trash, right? Well, in this story, she's literally made to eat dog food. And sometimes the dog eats the food and then fights her over it. My question here is, what is the dad doing? Like, what? How is this a functioning family? And like, come on. Like, do those melons like have a spell on them or what? How does a dad not know what is going on here? And, you know, even if he doesn't know, can't she just tell him? Now, luckily, that's literally the next thing she does. She goes and tells her dad. She tells him everything. But to her dismay, the dad says, "Oh, you know what? That's too bad. I trust her way of doing things and you're just gonna have to live with that. And sometimes life is hard and you just have to learn how to live." Now, this is probably the last bit of any realism that, you know, happens in the story. And guess what? We're like only a minute and 18 seconds in. And this is a 10-minute story. Just watch what happens next and keep in mind that this is a true story. So the girl ends up explaining that she has a few pet rats that she keeps in the backyard, and there's this one rat named Brownie who stands out, who was her favorite, and one day she decided to take Brownie into the house with her and decided to sleep with him on her bed. Yeah, makes sense, right? But then her stepmom caught her with Brownie, and Brownie attacked her stepmom and grabbed her hair, and then Brownie ran back to the girl, and the stepmom was of course very angry and she said, "You witch!" And then of course she goes to the dad and she tells him to make a choice. It's either her or me. Take your pick. And what does the stepdad do? Come on, I'll give you a minute to think about it. Okay, you know what? I don't have a minute. The father kicks her out, Brownie included. And now she's homeless and on the streets, all because of the stepmom's chest. Yep, that's the reason why this is titled that. That makes a lot of sense.
I hugged Brownie and went to my mom's house as I had no other place to go. When I arrived at her house, I knocked, and her new boyfriend opened the door, but he wouldn't let me in.
That's got to be the most cliche thing I've ever seen. How would her mom? Well, I mean, like, I can understand the mom for walking out on the dad because the dad cheated on her with the maid or the waitress, whoever she is, her real identity. The woman with huge melons, whatever. I can understand the mom walking out on him for that. But come on, like, abandoning your daughter? You know, it's funny, they said early in the story that the dad, like, remarried to the waitress and it was, like, so soon. But now the mom already has a new boyfriend, too. So it's like, what the heck? And on top of that, which makes it further less believable, the mom later comes to the door and she's like, hey, who was it? And the boyfriend says, oh, no one, just the pizza boy. And then he slams the door right in her face, and so the girl is left to continue on her way. Guys, bear in mind, we are 2 minutes into this story. And so far, the girl has gotten kicked out of her house, the father has married the maid, the mom doesn't care about the daughter and likes pizza, and the girl is wandering on the streets with Jerry from Tom and Jerry. Now, the next few scenes of this story, they're honestly, I think they're the most boring parts of the story, so we're just gonna skip around them. But essentially what happens is she wanders into like kind of like a homeless area with homeless people, obviously. She begs the leader for a chance to stay. Reluctantly, I think she gets her chance, and some weird homeless boy tries to hit on her, and it's kind of creepy, but luckily she's saved by this really huge homeless lady who, you know, I think like wants her to be her daughter, and they end up sleeping, you know, side by side. But she is really uncomfortable because the lady smells. That's literally what she says. She says like she stinks. So she tries to sneak up in the middle of the night, but unfortunately she makes a huge noise, everybody wakes up, and she has to bolt it and hightail it out of there. Yeah, that was the most boring part of the story so far, can you believe that? But let's see what happens next. So the girl keeps walking, and then she finds a small little kitten who's nibbling on an old, you know, eaten McDonald's meal, and the girl's like, oh my god, that's my dream come true, McDonald's. No, but actually she's probably starving. So she does this weird thing where she pretends to act like a cat so that the cat thinks that she's a cat, but the cat isn't stupid and knows she's a freaking person, so the cat attacks her. Yeah, that apparently happened. And then she gets into a big fight with the cat, and all she remembers is the cat scratching her face, but luckily, someone saves her.
And the whole time, Brownie just hid behind the dumpster.
Well, obviously, Brownie's gonna hide behind the dumpster. You really want freaking Brownie to fight Tom? Like, he's literally Jerry. He's a mouse, that's a cat, you're a person getting beat up by a cat. Anyways, okay, back to the story. This strange man that saved the girl from that cat ends up buying her a McDonald's meal, and he buys her like another set, and she's so starving, she's so hungry, she's eating it all, she's slobbering. He asks her, what the heck are you doing out here homeless? And the girl explains her situation, you know, and tells him that, hey, it was all my stepmom. She explains what happened, and the man just laughs it off. He acts really nice. And the girl ends up starting to feel weird, and she starts to kind of get tired, and she ends up blacking out. And that's when in the story you realize, okay, she's been drugged. But guess where she ends up next? No, really, guess. Like, guess right now, right in the comments. You got it? She ends up on an operating table. She wakes up there, she sees another woman sitting next to her, and she realizes, oh crap, like something really bad is about to happen. And then she hears a conversation from the man who drugged her talking to the woman who I guess is his wife, and he's telling her, hey, it's all gonna be okay. I found a person nobody's gonna be looking for. We'll transfer her kidney into yours and everything will be just fine. Guys, keep in mind, this is a true story. Do you guys believe it? I mean, it could be believable. It could happen. Taken was a true story, right? No, wait, it's just based off of true ideas? Well, in any case, does she escape? Let's find out. The girl pretends to be asleep while the guy who's about to steal her kidney comes over with a knife. She quickly jumps out, she runs, he chases her, she knocks over the other operating table which has his wife on it, she falls down, the other dude, quickly runs to her and helps her out. Meanwhile, the girl takes this as her opportunity to escape, and lo and behold, she finds Brownie, her little mouse, who's scratching the door trying to find a way out. Meanwhile, the other guy who's catching up behind her. So she opens the door, she runs away, she realizes that, holy crap, like I'm in a huge ass mansion when she gets out of the house, and she's like, wow, this guy obviously is not a doctor, he's just some crazy weird Frankenstein wannabe. I mean, it's like, dang dude, like he drugged her McDonald's, and like how long has she been out? Where are they? How is there a huge mansion and in the middle of nowhere? And first of all, this whole situation is like, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I've heard stories. Yeah, it could happen. Could happen.
But I found myself in a big maze that had no way out. I hid under the stairs and decided that I needed to fight for my life, or I wasn't going to make it. I waited until the man got closer to where I was, and I quickly pulled my leg out in the dark, and he tripped over it and fell on the floor. I screamed, "Brownie, bite his ear!" I could swear that Brownie was the bravest rat I ever met. He caused the man's ear to bleed, and I heard him crying like a little child as he started running away from us.
That was all supposed to happen just now. She comes outside of this huge mansion after being drugged and almost getting her kidney stolen, and there's a freaking huge garden maze. Is this right out of a freaking horror movie with a combination of Dr. Seuss? I mean, it's one thing to, be abducted. Okay, sure. Okay, maybe the creepy guy is obviously, like, loaded. He's got a huge mansion. Creepy maze, a little bit out there. But the thing that really gives, like, the story away where you know it's, like, kind of, like, fake is the mouse, okay? Brownie, the most, like, daring best friend mouse in the history of any friend ever. Literally, this mouse has stuck by her since the beginning of the story. He even runs and bites the dude's ear off when she tells him to attack. What kind of mouse does that? Let me get a mouse like that, okay? Seriously, are there mice like that? Can you, like, command them? Can they do that? You tell me, because at this point, honestly, everything just seems so fabricated. I can't tell if anything is actually, like, real anymore, or if I'm hallucinating, or if the story is just doing it to me. What happens next? How does it end? So then back to the story, the girl eventually escapes, and she gets rescued by this one guy who happens to save the day, and he works for animal rescue, and she realizes, oh wow, this guy's kind of cute, he's kind of hot, and I love animals, and she ends up working there, and that's kind of how the story goes. There is like an additional scene where she gets revenge on her stepmom and dad for kicking her out, and of course she gets Brownie's help along with other animals to help her out with that, and it's just really like insane. It's just really weird, but hey, it could happen, right? Because this is a true story. Do you guys have a true story like this? Has anything like this ever happened to you? And most importantly, why is the title of this story "My Mom's Chest Ripped My Family Apart"? Okay, that has almost zero to nothing to do with this story. You could have titled it "My Stepmom is Evil." You could have titled it "I Have the Best Mouse in the World." You could have titled it "My Kidney Almost Got Stolen." You could have titled it "How I Met My Future Husband." You could have titled it "Why I Stopped Eating Food Out of the Garbage." Or you even could have titled it "Don't Eat McDonald's Because You Might End Up getting drugged." Yeah, I don't know. I like McDonald's. I've never been drugged. But hey, it could happen because it's a true story, right? Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. I can't even talk after all of this craziness. And I don't know, like I said, I think these stories are entertaining, but obviously very fabricated and very interesting titles and thumbnails. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Good